Alright everyone, welcome to my new channel. I created this channel because I have a lot of time on the road. Being in Jacksonville, distances are super far, and I drive so much, I figured might as well monetize my drives and have something pay for my gas. I'm super ROI driven. Every single decision I make is pretty much based on what is the return on investment. I have a hard time buying myself a house right now because I'd rather put the money in the S&P 500. Now, wrist check today, I've got the Datejust 36. It is one of my dailies. I've got a day date, Daytona. I've got a few Tudors, another Rolex. I love watches. And a lot of people see that I am driving a Honda Accord. And they're asking, why do you drive a $20,000 car and have over $100,000 in watches? Now, to a lot of you guys, it might seem like a pretty silly thing, but I'm perfectly happy. It's a beautiful car. And yes, I do want the GT3 RS, and I will buy it. But the thing is, most of you don't realize, to make an intelligent decision buying a GT3 RS, you need to have at least $4 to $5 million, either in cash or in investment accounts. You have to make it so that whatever you're making, at least in a year, in dividends or in growth, pays for your car. You never want to buy stuff that you can't afford. You never want to go into debt. That's kind of my whole philosophy in life. Even the way I run a business, I run it on no overhead. I run e-commerce. I do high-ticket e-commerce sales, and my overhead is really, really low. And I had the option to go the warehouse route, but I just went the website route. Even a Netflix subscription, it's $15, but the weight of it feels like $80, $150 because it's recurring. You're trapped into something. And that's the approach I take with my cars. My net worth is about $1.3 million right now. About half of it is in stocks, index funds. The other half is in a money market cash position, and I've got another $100-something thousand in watches. And then I've got some gold, actually. I bought a gold bar for when my son turns 18. I bought it when he was born, and I was like, well, I'll spend 25 grand on this. By the time he's 18, it'll pay for his college. It'll be $100,000. And it's a way of diversifying my assets. See, I'm in a pretty high-risk business, which means the chances of litigation are really high. And besides litigation, also when it comes to bank issues, I run into a lot of them. I've had a lot of accounts being closed, Stripe accounts, etc. And I've had fairly large amounts of money be held up in accounts for a large period of time until my lawyer, kind of sussed me out of it. And, God bless the lawyers. That was the best financial decision I ever did, was to get a lawyer. If they act quick, they can put pressure on big companies, even Wells Fargo, Chase, and, other companies like this to act fast and release money. Regardless, I started buying watches as a means to diversify. I realized when I had $280,000 locked up in an account that they wouldn't give back to me. I really thought I was going to lose that money. That, fiat currency is at the mercy of the institutions and the governments, who can really do anything they want. They can lock it up, and you can't really do anything. If you do a quick search for, like, Chase locked my bank account, Wells Fargo locked my bank account, there's crazy stories on Reddit of people that just never got back their 30K, 40K, 150K, 500K, etc. Because it was locked up, pending investigation, etc. That's just, it's just one of the cons of doing business, high-ticket e-commerce. There's disputes sometimes on product quality, and it's a shame, but that's how it happens. And sometimes they lock your accounts. So I started buying these watches. It's not the first watch. The first good watch I bought was a Tudor Royale. I bought it at the airport. I think it was like 2,300 euros. I bought it on my way to, or francs. I bought it in Switzerland on my way to France. But I returned it same day at the airport because it just didn't fit my hand. So this was my first official watch. I bought it for $7,500, and I know that I can sell it for $9,000. And I know that because a few months after I bought it, I went to go trade it in, and a wholesale watch dealer, told me he would buy it for like $8,000, $7,500 actually. Buy it for $7,500 on the spot. And I was like, wow, I can buy assets that not necessarily appreciate as much as stocks and real estate, but at least that hold their value throughout time and that are quickly exchangeable and easily liquid. And so over the past few months, I've been buying watches, and I flew to Geneva to go pick up a rose, no, not a rose gold, what am I saying? a Oyster Flex Daytona, yellow gold. Beautiful, beautiful watch, 2025. I bought it for $38,000. I had the tax refund because you go over the border back to the United States, so they gave me back $3,000. So I ended up getting it for $35,000. I traded it in. He gave me $5,000 and a day date 36 because I just, you know, I bought it as a financial and as a decision to keep my, money in different assets, but I just really like watches too. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I have enough money to buy myself a $40,000 watch. I've been super responsible. I put $500,000 in the S&P 500 over the last year and a half. Why not? So I got something I really liked, which was a day date, a rose gold with a brown ombre dial, and you guys will see it on other videos. And, it doesn't shock me to talk about it, but to a lot of people, I forget that when they see a $45,000 watch on someone's wrist and enter a Honda Accord, they're kind of like, well, either they think it's a fake or either they think you just make terrible financial decisions. And, first of all, it was a great investment. And second of all, it's a great way to diversify. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about in this video, I guess. It's the first video on the channel. I'm going to be talking about what I do to make money, what are some ways to make money. I'm 27 years old. I just turned 27 years old. 4 or 5 years ago, I was completely flat broke. I was going in and out of jail. I was doing really, really bad. And, well, I just kind of changed my life. And now I'm here a few years later with a lot more money than I used to have. And it feels great. There's a lot of things I learned throughout the way. I didn't start at zero. I would really say I started at -10. I mean, I had addictions to every single drug you can think of. I was on alcohol. I was partying every single day. I had nothing going on for me. I was a total loser. And I changed my life. And I'm, still have a Honda. But, I will buy that GT3 RS. The thing is, I need to have $5 million. And all these kids that are, making their first online money and they make $340,000 and they go ahead and buy a car. Actually, most of the time, they don't even buy it in cash. If they do, amazing. You only live once. Awesome. Maybe I'm too much of a pussy to do that. That's a real option. I'm kind of jealous, to be honest, of the kids that don't care. But if I had any input on the situation, I would say $1 million is nothing. Really, at $1 million, you can't do anything. You can buy yourself a house and you can buy yourself a nice $60,000 car being reasonable. You know what I mean? And then the rest needs to go in investments, because business, it's very difficult. It's not a job. Every day you feel like it's going to end. It's not safe. It's not gonna last forever. Hopefully it does, but I always go off the principle that it's never gonna last forever. And I don't know if that comes from, my failed relationships or from actual business, but anyways, the trauma is pretty alive and real, and it eats me up every day, and every day I feel like it's not gonna last forever, so I try to make good financial decisions. I also like the idea that if I leave $1 million in the S&P 500, in 30 or 40 years, I'll have millions and millions and millions of dollars, and I will never have to worry again. And I did a few calculations. If I pass it down to my grandson, it gets to the point where you're billionaires after 120 years. Compound interest is one of the most amazing things ever. And what I've really learned is that time goes by so fast. And I look at my parents who didn't make the right financial decisions. And I love my parents. They did an amazing job raising me. Really, I love them. But they didn't make good financial decisions. And I see where they are right now, and it's not where I want to be when I'm 50 years old. Matter of fact, it scares the living crap out of me. And it's a huge motivation for why I do so much. Back to the people buying, these $300,000 cars. What you should do, if you start out in online business or in any type of business and you make your first $200,000, unless it is vital, unless you're like a content creator and it's vital to grow your business and you're investing into your business by buying one of these cars, You need to take that 200 grand, stash it away, because it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you save. And I know it sounds like a non-abundant mindset, but trust me, all I want to do is have $100 million and go to the south of France, be on my private yacht, and be with beautiful women, smoke cigars, and drink red wine all day. Trust me, I have an abundance mindset, but I know that you have to sacrifice a bit to get there. And yeah, that's kind of the moral of the story. If there was a story, it's very disorganized, but just keep stashing away, and work harder and harder, sacrifice a little bit, and then I think your body will tell you, if you're 24, 25 right now, or 36, 37, however old you are, in 5 to 10 years of hard work, your body's going to say, you know what, this is enough, enjoy. And if you had made all the right decisions, you are set up for life. There's a world in which you set yourself up for life in 1 year. My life changed in 1 year. In 1 year, it completely changed. And I hope the same for you. So follow my channel, and I will keep giving you guys tips and tricks and kind of bring you guys along my drives while I drive to go see my son. My hourly drives every few days. We'll talk. You guys will all discover new watches and things like that. But yeah, I will see you guys soon. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.